Hi Lindy and Pete's family and friends. It's Barry Mellish here. I'm a classmate of Peter and one or two memories from the school days. I am, as you can see, wearing my old Askian bow tie and the stripy blazer. I thought I ought to do this to memory of the old school. In all honesty, I don't recollect very much of what happened at school with Pete. I do remember one or two out of school activities. I'm sure that it was with Pete and a group of others that we saw the Kinks play at Eltham swimming baths. That would have been in 64 or 65. Another regular haunt was going to the Tiger's Head Downham to witness Bonzo Dog Doodah Band in their early days. Some of us went practically every week. I don't think Pete was as regular a tender as that, as he lived over at Plumstead and it was some way from Plumstead to Downham, but I'm sure he was with us on one or two occasions. I was almost responsible on at least two occasions for almost killing Pete and one or two others. The first was the day I passed my driving test. I'd had a car since I was 17, a 1947 Austin A10. It belonged to a girlfriend's dad who sold it to me for £8. It's the only car I've ever made a profit on, as I sold it about 2 years later for £12 and 10 shillings. Anyway, the day I passed my test, I think it was a school day, and I drove back to school proudly clutching my pass certificate. A whole bunch of people bundled into the car and off we set. Now, the Austin A10 was not a very powerful car and my clutch control etc. wasn't very good. And I remember that we were on a slight incline trying to get into a main road. Well, I stalled the car a couple of times and then all of a sudden the clutch gripped and we shot out into the main road, narrowly avoiding being mown down by a big heavy lorry. So that was the first occasion that I almost managed to kill us all. The second time was in Wales, and Pete refers to that in an email that he sent. I was with Pete Sidgwick, Peter Collison. I'm not sure if there was anybody else in the car. Anyway, the car had a puncture. Back in those days, punctures were all too common. We changed the tyre, or changed the wheel, and set off again. As we were going down round a steep bend, very sharp, the wheel came off. The car hit the ground with a gentle thud, and we saw the wheel rolling down the hill. We retrieved the wheel, put it back on the car, and set off again, this time making sure that the wheel nuts were tight and proper as they should be. When I left school, I sort of lost touch with Pete, and it was rather ironically when I was on assignment in America working for IBM in 2001 that, thanks to Friends Reunited, I regained contact with Pete and we exchanged emails. Sometimes there'd be a little flurry, then a gap of 2 or 3 years. The last occasion I saw Pete was in 2014 when he was over in England and he came to the Old Askian Advent lunch. It was a good time. We had a beer or two, and in fact his last email to me at that time said that he owed me a pint. So when we meet again, Pete, I shall look forward to sharing it with you. Take care and God bless. Goodbye.